I'm a recovering insurance broker. I've been running insurance businesses for many a year now. Actually, to me, it's much more about the art than the science. It's about the psychology and the people. Fairly early on in my tenure as CEO, was I would on occasions send an email that say, "Yeah, all right, Jeff, not very happy with that. If you want to praise somebody, if you want to register satisfaction, register delight, register a thrill at what somebody has achieved, absolutely always do it in writing."
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Yeah, morning, Dan. Yeah, very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, good to see you again.
Nice
So
to see
do you
you.
want to just take 30 seconds, 60 seconds, give people a little bit of a sense of who you are and a little bit of context?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a recovering insurance broker. I've been running insurance businesses for many a year now, and I built up a sizable private equity backed business called Aston Lark from 2015 to 2021, which I sold to Howden. Whilst building Aston Lark, we made over 100 acquisitions of brokers across the UK and Ireland, and I've now joined Howden and helping them to continue the acquisition spree, but with a global footprint rather than just worrying about the UK and Ireland. So we're now spreading our wings and acquiring businesses all over the world.
Brilliant, thanks. And I know that you've got an unusual philosophy that we were discussing in terms of the forever home. I don't know whether you just wanted to give 30 seconds on that.
Yeah, it's just, look, my belief from lots of experience of buying so many businesses, it's all about I absolutely believe it's more art than science. You know, the number crunchers will tell you differently, and all the accountants love getting involved in M&A. But actually, to me, it's much more about the art than the science. It's about the psychology and the people. Why does the business want to be sold? And if it wants to be sold, why would it want to join Howden, and what would the future look like? And if you can actually get under the skin of what the vendor really, really wants, and it aligns with what we really, really want, then you've got the makings of a deal. But being completely honest with yourselves and with the vendor, and making sure that actually before you go into this marriage, you are properly, I always joke about it is a bit like a marriage, and it's kind of, you want to make sure they don't snore first. You just don't go into it until you really know each other, and know that actually your futures are, you are properly aligned with what you want to achieve. And I think if you follow that through, then actually the deals become self-selecting. The types of businesses that want to join us are the types we want to buy, and the types that don't want to join us are the types we don't want to buy. So it all sort of works pretty smoothly.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So, best piece of advice, what would you say?
Well, funny enough, it's entirely unrelated to M&A. It's more about business management. And when I was running, prior to building up Aston Lark, I was running a business called Oval. And I took over the CEO position at Oval from a wonderful chap called Philip Hodson, who went on to become our non-exec chairman. And Philip was a brilliant guy, fantastic at motivating people around the business. And yeah, we had 25 offices, over 1,000 staff. So it was it's a full-time job keeping people on board, on side, motivated, positive about the future. And one of the things he caught me doing fairly early on in my tenure as CEO was I would on occasions send an email that say, "Yeah, all right, Jeff, not very happy with that. Perhaps we can have a look at a different way." And it wouldn't be a rude email. But Philip phoned me up one day and said, "Peter, you do realise," he said, "whenever you want to do anything that's constructive or that's going to bring about change in an individual, or if you want to criticise in any way, shape or form whatever anyone has done, never, ever, ever do it in writing. Just never do it in writing. Conversely, if you want to praise somebody, if you want to register satisfaction, register delight, register a thrill at what somebody has achieved, absolutely always do it in writing." And it's incredibly simple philosophy, but it just makes you, when you have got a problem with somebody or something that's happening somewhere in the organization, it gives you the discipline that to solve it, you have to actually either meet them in person, speak to them over the phone, speak to them on Teams, but either way, it's a verbal and ideally non-verbal conversation to get to to bring about the change that you seek. The simple reason being that people will read emails, they'll read correspondence, and they won't necessarily read it in the way that you intended it when you wrote it. People interpret things and they dwell on things. And if there's anything negative in that email, that's the bit that the recipient will zone in on. And there'll be seething sometimes about something that maybe is just a throwaway thing that you've put out there. Oh, I'd be grateful if you, when selling this type of policy, why don't you, you didn't use this insurer? And then there'll be, it could be a tiny thing, but then they will be seething on it. They'll be looking at that email again. They go, oh, bastard! Why did he? And you can't control that, because once you press send, it's completely outside of your control. You then cannot control the message. Whereas actually, if I was speaking to you and actually saying, it's the classic approach, isn't it? First of all, saying, Dan, you're doing a fantastic job. Love everything you're doing. How's it all going? Brilliant. Oh, just that one thing, you placed it with so-and-so. It'd be really brilliant if you could place it with somebody else. But apart from that, look, you're doing a fantastic job. Anything else I can help with? The person finishes the conversation, positive, motivated. Hopefully, we're taking on board the sort of the bit of criticism or the bit of help that's contained within the message, as opposed to the alternative of reading something and then seething about it for weeks on end. And of course, the converse is always true. I lost count the number of sort of little handwritten notes that Philip would send. Again, they just go down. It sounds remarkably old-fashioned, but I think even more so now than ever before. Actually, if you get a letter at home, if you get a postcard at home with a handwritten note saying what an amazing job you've done, just how brilliant does that make you feel? How many people do you show about it? How many people do you talk to about it? And it's a really simple piece of advice, but incredibly helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you. And if people want to get into contact with you, what kind of contact would be useful for you and useful for them, and how would they go about doing it?
Well, look, we are acquiring insurance brokers and employee benefits advisors all over the world. We'll acquire best part of 70 or 80 businesses globally this year. 10 to 20 of them will be in the UK, 10 in Ireland, and then Australia, South Africa, Latin America, all over Europe, Nordics. So anyone that's actually got a business like that where they actually think, look, it could be a great home with Howden. And the USPs of Howden are that we are an employee-owned business. 35% of the shares in Howden are owned by the staff. We have 5,500 employee shareholders now, which creates a completely different culture from our global peers. So very much welcome any contact along those lines. LinkedIn, obviously, I'm on LinkedIn, so just find me on LinkedIn, send me a message, and I'll always do my damnedest to respond rapidly.
Brilliant. Thanks. Really appreciate your help and your time.
No problem at all. Great to see you, Dan.